All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of the Integrity Racing Show. My name's Todd Thomas. I'm your host, as I have been every other week in the show. Tonight, we're joined by League Administrator Jacob Fife, who is here to take some questions. So, Jacob, how are you doing? Are you ready to go tonight?
Yeah, I'm fully prepared. I've come prepared for any questioning. The only thing you told me before we started was to wear a cup, and I didn't have one of those, so I came up with the next best thing. No, we're joking around a little bit, but no, looking forward to the questions that are coming, and hopefully we'll be able to get through all of them and see how the night goes.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about how this worked beforehand. I promise you, this is honest to God's truth. Jacob has not seen any of these questions except for one. There was one question where I actually want to get his feedback on whether we should keep the wording the same. We weren't going to change the structure of the question, but maybe talk about tinkering the wording. And we actually decided not even do anything. So the wording is exactly how it is. A lot of these questions are pointed. Jacob's been told that, but I have not actually had to edit any of these questions. So all the questions are exactly as they've been submitted to me. We do plan on possibly getting to all of your questions. Usually we try to end the show around 8:30. We might go a little bit longer tonight, probably not past 9. We're going to try to get to as many questions as we can. If you haven't already submitted your question, there is a question and answer format here to get Google Hangouts. So if you're watching this show live and you want to submit your question using that Q&A process, you can do so. They'll pop up on our screen here, and we're going to get to those questions as well. So looking at the list here, I've still got a few that I got home a little later than I expected. I've still got a few to type up here, so we're probably looking at the neighborhood of somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 questions already in. So I want to thank everyone that took the time out of their day to send the questions in. So thank you to everybody. If your question doesn't get read, it was probably just a mistake on my part. So let's get started. First question for Jacob. I'm going to do these kind of completely random. So that there is no favoritism or anything like that. It's going to be kind of random as best I can. So starting with question 1, will Integrity ever offer a second series again?
It's quite the possibility. I know one of the main reasons why we went to a one series deal. Well, there's a couple reasons why we did it, honestly. We wanted to try to do one series really well and put all of our, all of our resources and, what that's time, finances, everything that goes into running a league and a series into one thing and try to pull that off really well. It is really, really hard to do 2 series in a given time and do all the things that you either need to do or would like to do to make the series successful. So that's the main reason why we stopped doing it, just because, frankly, I ran out of time in the week. Because one of the things I found with doing leagues and doing series is that once you start doing something, people expect that same thing to be done each week consistently. Otherwise, for some reason, they think that, oh, well, the series doesn't run anymore because he didn't put a post-race whatever up, or he didn't do A, B, or C. And sometimes there's just not enough time in the week. But you never know. If things develop and there's the resources there, I'm not opposed to it by any means. But it's like I know a couple of people have asked about a truck league again, as that was very successful when we ran it for our first couple years and when we started the league. So that there's always a possibility. You never say never.
All right. Question number 2. At Sonoma, if there's ever, we got Sonoma coming up this Monday. If there's ever a situation where the track is completely blocked, impassable, and everyone behind that wreck gets kind of held up in the field and they're not able to pass, would the admins ever consider throwing the full course caution?
I think that's a really good question, actually. Basically, the way that it's set up on road courses is that the cautions are basically turned off. As far as my knowledge goes, if the cautions are turned off, you cannot throw a caution as an admin. So the short answer to that would be no. Plus, that in some respects, that would bring in a kind of subjective, what's your definition of blocking the track, and a bunch of other stuff that, with 1 or 2 exceptions, I've tried to stay away from as far as cautions go. So Short answer, no, but I do understand where you're coming from with that question, especially at the beginning of the race. That might be a bigger issue. Hopefully not, but that might come into play.
Okay. Question number 3. How did you decide on the number 36?
Shoot, I got to remember how I decided on it. I am always a fan, and Schitzer might laugh at me at this. I'm always a fan of the underdog. When Schitzer and I go to races, or I meet up with the guys and go up to Dover, they come down here or whatever. He always laughs at me because every once in a while we'll share a scanner set, and I change it to like Alex Bowman or some underdog who will finish 30 something, then that's who I'll listen to because I'm odd like that, I guess. But no, basically the number was picked because at the time my underdog team was the Tommy Baldwin Racing, and that was their number at the time. So I think that's pretty much how I got settled on. And Brendan Kohler's been upset with me ever since because I stole his number. So.
Okay. All right. Question number 4 is, can you discuss what it takes financially to keep this league going?
A lot of money. Honestly, once this season is said and done, the budget, to be perfectly upfront, the budget for the league is over $1,000. That goes to all the broadcasts. That goes to the payment of the servers. That goes to your championship winnings and other awards that we give out monetarily, and then the trophies that accompany it with it. So that's a lot to bring together to do all the things that we do. Obviously, the vast majority of that is the broadcasting that we have for a full season. This is the first full season we've done with it, and I think Daryl does a very good job, and we work very well together in doing that. And that also kind of goes back to what we talked about in what I thought was the first question with the second series. Since it takes to really want to do it right, it does take a lot of money to do that, and it's hard to kind of manage everything if you're dividing the funds. So it takes a lot of money. I've been very lucky and blessed to have people step up to the plate. Some of them through the sponsorship program we started this year with various people picking up races and sponsoring it for this, that, and the other, Todd being one of them. Our Sonoma race will be sponsored, and I'll announce that a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, through sponsorships, through donations, this, without giving out names, this season would not be possible without a significant donation from one of our members. So, that's, I mean, it really takes all of the effort and everybody putting in to make it go. Obviously, I put in money every year myself, but I can't do it by myself either. So it takes a lot. It really does.
All right. I think we're up to question 5 now. All right. Drivers that have been here forever and are slow wouldn't qualify in on time. Should not be hand-fed the option to race each week. They should get faster and better. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm trying to understand the question. Can you read it one more time, please?
Sure. Let me share it one more time. Make sure you can see it up on your screen.
Yeah.
So the first part of the question, it's really an opinion disguised as a question. So drivers that have been here forever and are slow and wouldn't qualify in on time should not be hand-fed the option to race each week. They should get faster and better. So what are your thoughts on that? I think it's clear here that they're talking about the emeritus.
Emeritus. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I got it. Yeah, I'll address the emeritus thing specifically. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I'll repeat it as my perspective. The emeritus option is basically something that I came up with. It's of my doing, so if you're not happy with it, you can blame me. Basically, what the deal is with that is these 4 people who have been selected, who have are a part of the emeritus class, if you will. They've been here from start to finish. The league would not be what it is without these people. They are a very I'll put it this way: they're the epitome of what drivers should be for this league. And I'm not talking racing. I'm talking as people, as character quality people. That's the person we are striving to get here. And their willingness and ability to stick through with our league from the beginning to the end, whenever that end is, and their quality of person as a character and the things that they've done for this league has given them the ability to have this status. Their And I've kind of been pretty blunt with this, their position will not change. And there will not be anyone added to that, and there will not be anyone subtracted to it. So if there ever comes a point in time where I'm slow and for some reason I don't qualify for the race, I'm not going to automatically say, oh, well, I'm going to pull out my emeritus card because, I run the thing. It's just, I have a massive, obviously I have a massive amount of respect for my dad, but him aside, I have a massive amount of respect for the other 3 drivers who are in that group. And on some things, in my personal opinion, it's some things are more important than talent and how fast you can go. And that's one of the main reasons why they're a part of this and why they will be the 4 drivers who will have that option, as it was phrased in the question there.
Okay. Question number 6. All right. After this many years of being, for lack of a better term, the president of IRL, how do you not have gray hair? And I think this is kind of referencing, if you look at any president of the United States after about a term or 2, you could see a major shift in the color of their hair. I mean, if you look at a picture of President Obama 8 years ago compared to now, and you've got to put up with this group of guys for 36 weeks each year. How have you not got gray hair all over the place?
Well, I can eliminate a few people from this question because anybody who's met me will know I have gray hair. I'm only 28 years old and I have gray hair, and it's coming out everywhere, it seems like. It's there, I promise you. Dad gives me a hard time about it sometimes. It could be a task sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes you have frustrations and things that go on, and things you wish could go better, or you think is out of your control, or maybe I didn't handle a situation right. The list goes on and on. That can give you those gray hairs, and it's a lot of work. It really is, to do one of these and to make it what I think is successful anyway. So it's a lot of work, and I do have the gray hairs to prove it. They're somewhere right in here, this general area. And but it's also been fun, so I can't complain too much.
All right, question 7. Will the series ever run realistic weather?
I personally would like to run realistic weather, to be perfectly honest. We did it, did we do it last year? I think we did it to start the season last year, and then we switched midway through. The main reason we did that is because of the fixed setups that we're running with the Cup Series. And we didn't, if the track and the weather are constantly changing, it kind of makes it difficult to, other than driving style and things like that, which could add an element to it, don't get me wrong. It's hard to kind of keep up with the adjustments and changes since you can't change the car you're driving. Because as we found out as we've gone through things, especially in the very early days when we did fixed setups, and say, for example, we went to one of the shorter tracks. If you've been here, you'll know what I'm talking about if you've been here long enough, where I made the setup. Some people love my setups. Some people, Schitzler, hate my setups. So when you get into things like that, it's kind of something similar to where it won't fit in everybody. So you can't add too many variables without causing more issues than you're trying to prevent. I guess that kind of answers the question. Basically, fixed setups is the answer to the question. If we get away from fixed setups in terms of maybe having a fixed setup because you can do adjustments once the race starts or something along those lines, I'd probably put some serious consideration into it. But that'd probably be the only situation.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead and answer this. Ask this one since it's kind of related. Will the series ever offer an open series?
It's been bannered about, but the vast majority of I actually asked a few people about this opinion speaking earlier in the season, and most of what I got back was it wouldn't be something they're interested in, unless the only real alleyway I saw for that, and it be successful in terms of turnout and stuff like that, would be if a team or someone would provide a open set of some sort, and not the one where you just take the fix and you adjust the rear track bar a little bit to make it look different type of set. Um, because doing sets and doing them well does take a lot of time. I know when I used to do it in the beginning, it took me like an hour or so to really try to create something that's better than the fixed. So it's not completely out of the question, but it's unless the dynamic of some things changes, it's probably not something that will happen in the near future. Just because when we did the B series that was our last open series we did. The after maybe halfway through the season, the numbers really started to diminish, and I think that was part of the reason why I did that.
Okay. And our next question. Dirt's on the way. Whoop-a-doo. All right. Dirt's on the way. Hashtag soon. May only be 2 tracks to start. That's a little editor's note. May only be 2 tracks to start, but are there any plans of putting a league together?
Um, Not really, honestly. The only time that I would really think of doing something like that is during the off season. And usually by the off season, I'm in the mindset of I'm done doing this. I need my break. Otherwise, I might shoot somebody. So usually I don't. And people who've been around me long enough, I don't bother with too much once the off season hits. That's racing or adminning or anything. Um, so probably not. If there one was created, I'd be happy, to participate. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think you'll see a mini version of it on Monday night at Sonoma, with the new particles they're kind of adding into the track, which is pretty cool. I'm excited for it, but probably not.
Okay. All right. Load this one up. All right. So explain to the league why you feel the need to run the league without more input from your other admins.
Um, well, that's kind of a little more opinion than question, but I'll take a shot at it. Basically, the admins have input on certain things. They have input on if general rules come up that there's questions about, or there's something happens in a race, that I need an extra opinion on. Then I'll go to them. We'll come to a consensus and we'll move forward. I think honestly, the main reason why that is because at least in my opinion anyway, everybody has their own lives outside of this. And, I have admins who are willing to help me out, and they do a very good job. But on the same token, I don't want to overload people with doing, what's the right word? I don't want to overload people stuck with doing league work the whole week when they have their own lives. When you take Chris, well, both Chris's for that matter, they have a wife, they have kids, and it's not their responsibility to be bound to me to answer questions or have, or do A, B, and C. What they do is a great help. Like we have an admin chat and we talk about some of the things that go on, some of the things that may need to be changed, or what our outlook is. And we do discuss things, whether you get to hear that or not. It's just a little different. If the question is more geared toward during the race, I think it's just from a more of a consistency and a streamlining sense. Sometimes, if I'm in the middle of doing something, the admins have the ability to make make calls or give direction and things like that, if that's where the question's kind of going. But they have input, but by the same token, this isn't their job. Nobody is paid to do this, myself included. And they shouldn't be bound to chasing around replays and trying to, look at this and look at that and do this. And it's just because there's a lot of work that goes to it. And like I said, most of these people outside of myself, I think, as far as I can remember, I am the single one of the group. So I have a little bit more time to deal with that kind of stuff. And it's not their responsibility to kind of chase around all those things, even though they do have input, maybe more input than you realize, but they do.
All right, we're at a little bit of a halfway break, so just a reminder, or maybe somebody's popping in the show as we've been started here. We talked about this at the top of the show. We are accepting questions live on the air right now, so if you join the Google Hangout currently, or you're watching us right now, we haven't seen any questions come out through, or at least I haven't seen any questions come through the Google Hangout yet. So if you have a question that maybe wasn't submitted in advance, you can do that through the Google Hangout. We'll be able to see that. We'll go ahead and toss that in. Right now, we're just going through the transcribed questions that were sent in to me in advance through either email or Facebook. So we want to thank everybody that sent in questions. And we've got some more here. We've got about 10 or 11 more for Jacob tonight. And so our next question kind of deals with your personal Chump Car team. I know that's something you're excited about. You bought a Chump Car. I think Jay Heisman's going to be on that team with you. Chris Schitzler's going to be on that team with you. Have you guys chosen a team number? And if so, how did you come about picking that number?
We haven't chosen a number yet. You actually just started the process of trying to sign us up for our first race/test. And you have to go through the whole entry process, and then you select a number once you go through that. So I haven't quite got that far yet. We have a name. Our Chump Car team name might be ever so appropriate once we get out of the track. But our Chump Car team is Rolling Roadblock Racing. We have a 1990 Mazda Miata that already has a full cage in it and a vast majority of the safety features we need. And I just got done. As you see, I have my helmet, the fire suits down the hall, the shoes, the gloves, the whole 9 yards. So that's a pretty exciting deal for myself, and Jay Heisman and Chris Schitzler will be a part of it as well. And I'm looking forward to it. We're working very hard trying to get that ready. Our first time we're taking it out is in August, so that's right around the corner. And we have some work to do. Luckily enough, I have a friend of mine who's helping us as well, and he actually knows what he's doing. So that really puts us in a good position to where we'll be set up to take it on the track. Hopefully we'll be, like I said, be at VIR, which is in Southern Virginia, here in a couple of months. And then we're hoping to do another race in October. And it should be a lot of fun.
All right, probably my favorite question that came in. I'm a big fan of this question.
Is it because you wrote it?
No, I did not write it. Who would you punch, and why would it be Duel?
Believe it or not, I actually like Duel too much to punch him. And I wonder if I should answer the first part of that question. And why would it be Duel? That's funny. No, Duel's a pretty good guy when you get him away from his heated moments of passion, usually that end up in flaming heaping piles of wreck. But no, I would not punch Duel, or hopefully not anyone. Maybe.
All right. Well, that's the very loving answer from Jacob 5 tonight.
Yeah,
right.
I tried.
All right. So explaining why you're, in your own words, why did you stop doing official for a few years?
Time is a blunt answer of it. It's just the main times that I really did official, and this will be a flashback for some people, there was a group of us when we did Fine Line Racing on Friday and Saturday nights who would stay up till godforsaken hours in the morning doing Talladega hosted mess, and then do official, and then whatever. And once you get, and that was a lot of fun, by the way. once you get involved with doing the league and like running it, it's a very different time priority to do. I, I kind of got honestly, I kind of got to the point where I didn't want to be involved in some form of racing, whether it was league adminning or doing the league race, and then do it, and then have time to do official. I figured at some point, as I've gotten a little bit older, you have to kind of have something other than this. You have to actually go outside the house every once in a while. In my case, because I was getting to the point where I was, on every night, and and it's great camaraderie, and I enjoy that immensely when I'm on here Monday nights or the very couple hosted, or not hosted, official races I've done here recently. That's awesome. I love that part of it. But at some point, you have to go out and kind of step away for a little bit. Otherwise, as the and don't shoot me on the spot, the game or simulation aspect of it kind of um, loses its enjoyment, and it kind of comes more of a work / hassle type of deal, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. What would you say is your favorite moment ever in a charity racing league?
Oh wow. Well, it's been so long ago, I'm hardly able to remember it, but I do have a championship. That's nice. I still have it sitting over here from our little championship discussion from last week. There's a lot of them. There really is. A couple of things pop into my head. I can't even remember the racetrack now. I think we were at Chicago, and we were doing the B Open Series, and we had one of the craziest finishes I've ever seen in my time of doing the league. It was myself, and I think Nick Ward, and I forget, Nick Stoller. I'm sorry, Nick Stoller and Keith Dunn were battling for the win. I mean, we were going all out. We were high, low, we was trading positions back and forth, and coming around for the last lap. And I think there's actually a YouTube video of this somewhere. We all junk it, and he's no longer, or hasn't been in the league in a while anyway. Alberto Silvestris comes from like 10 seconds back and just like floats past us all, and is able to get the win. So that was pretty memorable, not only for the finish, but for the fact that somebody, I always enjoy, kind of goes back to the underdog thing. I always enjoy seeing new people win, or people who you might not expect to win, like we had earlier this season with Brian Terry. I think would be a good example of that.
Or last week at Michigan.
Or yeah, where's your banner at? No, but yeah, I mean, having those new people or unexpected people win, I always enjoy seeing that, because every once in a while, or usually once a year, we'll have somebody, whether it's the Fayash or Busa, or what's another one? Cody Kutzner, if you were in the truck series with us, people like that who can have the ability to kind of string off a few wins. While, more power to them, don't be wrong. They deserve it. I always enjoy seeing new people win, and the excitement of people getting their first series win. As the competition starts to increase for the league, the gratification and the accomplishment from getting that win tends to be more. I wouldn't know that this year. I haven't got there yet, but I really do enjoy that. And then it's really, in a much bigger picture, it's really, like I said, the camaraderie and being able to meet people and get to know people on a more personal level, whether that's through TeamSpeak or meeting them in person, as I've done with many of you now. That's truly a great thing, and truly something I enjoy to do.
All right. So while you're on the topic of meeting people, this question's a good tie-in. Do you ever expect to host an integrity meetup on the West Coast?
Neil, I don't know. No, I'm pretty sure that's Neil. He usually asks that question every year. I don't know. I honestly don't know, to actually seriously answer that question. The ease of travel for me is probably the main reason why it usually stays on the East Coast. Not that I don't like to do airplanes, but the expense to go 3,000 miles across the United States. Can get a little up there. I won't rule it out, and I've told Neil this every year, so he's probably tired of me saying it. But yeah, I'm not sure, to be quite honest. It's always worth a try, but it depends on interest. I want to be able to get new people together and have enough interest to be able to pull it off as well. So you kind of have to balance a couple things and make sure the cost is there and it's not like through the roof expensive for people to come out and do that.
All right, we do have our first live question. I don't know, Jacob, if you've seen this, but Nick Williams asks, which came first, the can opener or the can?
Well, let's see. Well, technically, if your can opener is at home, you would have to go purchase the can to bring it to your house. So technically, the can opener. That's my thought. There you go.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I had to unmute my mic there. All right. Our next question. So thank you, Nick, for your submitted question. If anyone out
really
there
hard hitting stuff right there.
He's really kind of coming after us with that question. Yeah. So it does look like our live question format's working. So if anybody out there is watching us live and wants to submit a question, we'd be willing to take that. So our next question that was submitted in advance is, do you use traction control, force feedback, paddle shifters, et cetera? Kind of tell us what kind of modern equipment you maybe use and how you operate that stuff.
Oh, I wish I had traction control for Sonoma. I'd be able to get around it a lot better. Yeah, I have, as far as my equipment goes, I have a basic G27 with all the stock pedal shifter, all that stuff. I use the H pattern always, basically, unless it requires iRacing requires me to use the sequential, then I will. Like I said, there's nothing fancy about this, really. No 3 screens, no. I do have a gaming computer, so it handles most anything. But as far as the racing setup goes, it's unbelievably bland. Like, even my seat is just a basic computer seat. There's no nothing. Just like I said, just a basic G27 and what comes with it, and iRacing, and I'm pretty much good to go.
Okay. All right. Here's a little bit of a fun one. Screw, marry, kill. Michael Dole, Chris Schitzler, Alan Roll. Screw, marry, kill.
Oh dear. Let's see. Well, I've met all but one. Do I really want to be married to Duel? I'm trying to find the parameters of what's allowed on YouTube.
There's not a good question. There's not a good answer to this question.
No, there's not. Let's see. We'll go with Screw Duel, because he should be used to it. I mean, he's got like 6 or 7 kids. I mean, come on. I'll marry Schitzler because I've at least met him before, and poor Alan, he'll just have to be knocked off somewhere, I guess. Love you, Alan, but yeah, we'll have to knock him off, baseball bat or something, I guess.
All right, another live question. This one from Adam De Blasio. It looks like if one these live questions have been hard hitting. Let me tell you,
they are.
If one synchronized swimmer drowns, do the others drown too?
If they're any good at it, they will. I mean, follow the leader. They're like ants going through. If the path gets cut off, the ants don't know where to go. I mean, if they want that, 10s across the board, they need to drown.
All right. So thanks, Adam, for the tough question there. And we can tell you put a lot of thought into that question today. So thanks for joining us here on the show. Next question is, have you ever visited a foreign country?
No, I have not. I am my father's son. I'm a homebody for the most part. I've been to a few places in the United States, but I have not been out of country yet. So, and actually, Dad has been out of country. He's been to the Bahamas a couple of times, but no, I haven't. Something to put on the bucket list, I guess.
All right. Why are the same drivers who cause issues week after week still allowed to be here?
I was wondering when that question would come. The simple answer for it is to kind of clutter through who you may determine or who the wreckers are. The simple answer is we try to stick to the rules as best as possible. There's no, I can't say no. There is limited subjectivity in the way we set up the rules. It's made to the rules do the work for us, so you know what is expected when you come into um, a race or come into the season, or you're a new person coming into the league for that matter, and it's probably the better reason why it's this way. You know what is expected of you as a driver. So when you have issues that come up, you should know that this is why you're getting this penalty, and it's not because you pissed me off 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to give you an extra penalty, and then that just I tend to find the more subjective it gets, if you're not careful, it creates a snowball effect, because everybody has an opinion, and everybody's opinion is different, and so the way the rules are set up is to try to be as black and white as possible. That's the main reason. I know a lot of people or members like instant satisfaction. The way the rules are set up is a gradual process. I'm not of the mentality or the mindset to just boot people at will, just because. We have to go through a process. That's the way the league's been set up for 5 years. That's the way it will probably remain to be set up as long as I'm running it. Just for that real simple fact of I try to keep everything as objective as possible. Because at the end of the day, the more subjective I get and the more leans I tend to have one way or the other, trying to figure out the best way to. Basically, the name of the league holds you to a certain standard. If I get subjective in the way I do things and stray from being integrity and sticking to the rules that I've set for the league as a whole, then I'm not honoring the intention of what the league is and what it attempts to strive for. Because I'm not perfect. I'll be the first one to say that I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I do things wrong sometimes, and that's why the rules are there, so that you know what they are, and it limits me from making stupid mistakes. So that's hopefully the best way I can explain that.
Okay, all right. So Integrity originally started as a truck series. Were there intentions of switching to Cup originally, or how did that come about?
Well, that's a very good question. We actually did a Cup series 2 or 3 years ago as a second series to the truck series on Saturday nights, and I forget which night we had it, but we did it for like 5 weeks. It absolutely was horrid in the organization of it and the setup, which was mostly my fault because once again I didn't have time. So we kind of went away from it, went back to the trucks, and then I think we did the trucks in the B series on Friday nights. The original track plan was trucks because when I left Fine Line Racing and started my own league, that's the series in which I was an admin of at Fine Line. So that's what I was familiar with. That's the basic foundation I had was from what I had done there. And that's why I went with trucks. Plus, it was successful on Saturday nights, and it proved to be the case as we move forward for the next 3 years, I guess it was, until we decided to do the Cup Series. And the Cup Series has been extremely successful. Honestly, way more successful than I thought it would be, if I was to be completely honest. Just because usually when you try to do something new, it's really hard to kind of get traction unless you have some group or following that is coming with you. I mean, there's a bajillion different leagues out there you're competing against. at least 2 or 3 really, really, really good ones that run on Monday night that we're technically competing against. So it's, it really takes a lot of work to do that. And I'm trying to remember the last part of the question actually, but I think it was, will we ever go back to truck? I think was that what it was? If that's what's the question, there's a possibility, but I think we're sticking with Cup for right now. If that was the question, maybe.
All right, and just to give out, if there's anybody out there watching live that's saying, all right, I'm kind of on the edge of whether I should ask a question or not. We're coming up on our last 1 or 2 questions here, so we're we're coming up on the end of the show. So if you have something you want to ask, go ahead and submit that one. And we do have a live question, another one from Nick Williams. Do admins get picked every year, or do they stay the same each year? And are there any more admins, or are any more admins going to be added in the future?
Yes to both. Well, not so much in a yearly transition. It's more or less I try to keep it at a certain number, and some people go off and some people go on as needed. If whether they move on to a different league or they don't have time for it anymore, whatever the case may be, I don't necessarily rotate them, if that's the general gist of the question. Usually, if somebody goes off for whatever reason, I will pick someone who's been around for a while, who has some experience in the league and is well known, and can have a grasp of the bigger picture of what we're trying to accomplish as a league, and then we'll add them on, and they'll have this, the same responsibilities, if you will, as the other admins. But they're not rotated, to answer the first part. But if, I try to stick with, as far as admins go, I try to stick with 4 main ones is really what it is. And then you have people like Papa Fife and Jimbo, who are more of an advisory role, if you will, as their emeritus members and stuff like that. So, yes and no.
All right, and unless we get another live question, because I'm not going to answer Adam's last one because I don't even understand it. This is going to be our final one unless we get another live question that I can comprehend. Why did you change your paint scheme, and do you favor Doritos over Goldfish now?
I actually thought it looked really cool. It's probably the only reason I picked it, but I actually thought about this the other day, and for some reason, I have a leaning towards food paint schemes. I've done, if you've been with the league long enough, I've done Golden Corral, Hostess Cupcakes, which was my personal favorite. I've done the Goldfish for the trucks. I've done Doritos. Apparently, I like junk food. And there's another one. I forget it. But anyway, apparently I like food way too much. But yeah, I thought the scheme looked really cool, to be honest. That's the main reason why I picked it.
All right, so that ends our questions tonight. We want to thank everybody for getting those in. Just as a last minute disclaimer, Jacob did not see any of these questions in advance, save the one, and we actually left that one intact. So that was our bit of honesty there for you. If there were any questions that you feel that you submitted and maybe I didn't answer them, there were a couple that were sent to me that I honestly thought were a joke because of the language that was used. And so I just did not add those. So if your question didn't get answered, and just understand that it was me probably misunderstanding the point of the question. So that's where we're at on that. So all the questions that got submitted to us in advance got answered. So thanks for everybody that joined us. I think we got 20 to 25 questions got submitted this year. It looks like we have one last live question. Just beat us to the wire. This is from Eric de Blasio. Are the 4 drivers council members constant, and will they be added or subtracted to?
The number will be the same. This is something new, so I probably can't answer it with 100% certainty, but I think the goal is that the 4 trying to remember what I'm talking about. Drivers Council people will be set for the rest of this year, and then we'll kind of decide from there in the off season whether we want to rotate them out and do 4 new people, or want to keep them the same, or and what have you. So it's not 100% concrete as far as will they rotate out or not. But what I can say is that those 4 people will be set for this year, and it will be 4 people regardless whether it's the same 4 people or we rotate a couple people out. I think that's a safe answer I can give you.
All right, so that wraps up our questions. Again, thanks to everyone that got their questions in. Big help tonight, good turnout. We want to thank Jacob for kind of taking the shots tonight. He welcomed this opportunity. Again, there wasn't a single question that was not allowed because we thought it was too pointed or mean or anything like that. All the questions, I think you can see some of the questions tonight were pretty pointed. So we didn't hide behind that. We didn't hide from anything, or I didn't. And Jacob didn't even have a chance to hide. So we want to thank everybody that submitted those questions. And usually I wrap up the show, but tonight I want to give Jacob the chance to kind of close with his thoughts. We kind of got to pick your mind a little bit, kind of give us your thoughts on the general tenor of the league, and sign us off to episode 10, and we'll see you next week on episode 11.
Yeah, well, first of all, I do want to thank everybody who is able to either submit a question live or submit one to Todd. Ultimately, at the end of the day, when we do this league and we run every Monday night, the goal is to have competitive racing, but to do it in a way that is of character and ultimately to have fun, to enjoy spending time with one another, enjoy this iRacing that we get to do, this privilege that we get to do, and just enjoy it and have fun with it. So when we're racing, even though tempers can get heated at times, mine included, that's the ultimate goal. So I hope when you come each week on a Monday night, that's what you're getting out of it. You're having fun, whether it's with your teammates or other drivers out on the track. And I hope that in implementing the rules and trying to run and officiate the league, that we're putting our best foot forward for you, the members. As I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. You all are what makes the league happen. So if it was not for you, we would not have a league. So I thank you. I appreciate your support, and I want to, like I said, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Todd for helping me run the show, which I think has gone very well through the first 10 episodes. And we hope to see you guys next week after our Sonoma race. It should be a lot of fun. Y'all have a good night.